And welcome to the Beer Hammer Podcast, episode number 11. We've done it 11 times already. That's pretty crazy that we're still doing it. We still get people downloading it, and people are still listening. I wouldn't imagine that.
I'm surprised, honestly.
Yes.
I'm just happy it goes up to 11.
What? Shut up.
You can't even count that high.
Yes, I can.
No, he can't. So anyway, the big thing about our podcast is that we're for the casual war gamers, the folks that just playing beer and pretzel games in their basement. I can't say it enough. Those who don't really care about being competitive in tournaments, even though we do go over stats and things like that on occasion, and different stuff, so that, we can have a cool, wild time. Today, we're going to be talking about orcs, because everybody's talking about orcs, because this codex just came out.
I was just going to say because they're orcs.
Yeah, I mean, they're orcs, too. And I'm joined today, instead of Paul and Andrea, because both of them had things going on. Andrea is out with an injury, and Paul is crazy busy with life. So we have Nick, back from the dead.
I'm back.
From outer space. You didn't go to outer space.
I could have.
He actually got a promotion at work, and they changed his schedule around so he couldn't make the podcast night for a while. But now he should be back.
Forever.
And hopefully, because I like you.
I mean, you're all right, I guess.
And
I like you.
I mean, I think you're fancy. And we have Cody.
Hi.
Cody Leva, to just not know anything and throw stupid puns in on occasion.
Pretty much.
So we're back to our original, 3, or as original 3 as it gets.
It's the original 3.
Yeah. And we're going to be going over, like I said, a lot of stuff with the orcs and various other things. Probably Kill Team, because I played a lot of that. So what I've been doing is painting my kill teams and making kill teams and playing kill team whenever I can, because kill team is hella fun.
It is a lot of fun, actually.
Yep.
Okay, I've got like 3 kill teams built. Still haven't played it yet. I got to set something up with you or someone.
That involves you coming over.
I do come over. Maybe you could come over.
Nope. I refuse.
How many times have you gone over this?
Yeah, but at this point, I come over here more than he goes over there.
Yeah, but...
That's because you want to be on the podcast. It's not for playing games. It's totally different.
Still come over here.
It's like I come to work.
I mean, I could easily just do this in my underwear on my couch.
And no one would listen to it.
Remotely into your kitchen.
Maybe. If I let you. But, so I have been doing a lot of that. And we actually played Kill Team the other Thursday with Cody and Jeremy. And Cody technically won. Of course, his list was 200 points on a 100-point max game because Jackass can't add.
Yeah, I kind of misunderstood the exact way you're supposed to add up the points. And so I was at a flawed system.
2 plus 1
okay,
is 3.
I know how to count. That's not the problem here. It was that I didn't know
how to
when
count.
I looked at the chart. I was like, okay, this point's for these models. I didn't divide them by how many models I had, plus the weapons and all that other crap.
All you got to do is add up all the points and add the points to their weapons.
Yeah, I screwed it up.
Why are you throwing division into simple addition?
Because I'm an idiot sometimes.
Even though the chart says points per model.
Yeah.
Just want to point that out there.
Yeah.
In a game that only really requires you to have like 10 models.
True, but didn't know that much of the time.
You screwed up. You cheated.
I didn't intentionally cheat. I will not deny that I cheated, but I didn't do it on purpose. So.
Oh, look at that. Cheated toy soldiers.
Oh god.
You're a douche.
How does that make you feel? You had to cheat to win with plastic soldiers.
I mean,
and you
it's
we
almost
just
the
had
same in real
podcast
life.
on not being a douche. And Cody managed to be a douche. Congratulations.
I mean, I work with you.
What does that mean?
I learn.
It means
You
From
should learn how not
everyone.
to be a douche.
and you should learn what a douche is by all the phone calls you get.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Moving on.
So Nick, what have you been up to?
Besides being promoted.
Not kill team, but I have been fooling around with. Well, now that I have the rest of my Titans, I have been fooling with my Titanicus stuff because that's the game that I've
Sounds
most wanted to actually start. And now that I have everything, I can just throw it together and put it on a table.
Yeah,
It took Games Workshop long enough.
I need to build the rest of my stuff so we can actually play a game.
And not just a 2 Titan slap fight.
Yep. It's like 2 girls limp wristing at each other.
But inside of that, we might talk about it later, but I have been reading about some of the maniples that people might be ignoring, and they're actually turning out to be really good.
Cool. We'll love to hear about it.
Right now?
I mean, at the appropriate time.
Okay, then.
Do you think right now is the appropriate time, Nick?
I mean, maybe?
Well, let's see what Cody's been doing first.
About that. Yeah, so lately all I've really been doing is painting some of my kill team stuff. So the intercessor for my kill team, the Primaris battle leader and whatnot, and hopefully going to use some of that for kill team as well. That's pretty much it. I've just been working on painting stuff. I have everything else that I have built. So that's it.
Did you make a list in Battlescribe?
Yes.
Did you check it twice?
Pretty sure I got it right.
Is it only 100 points?
I made a 100 points list, a 150 point list, and then a 200 point list.
Well, the 200 point list is a command roster.
Yes.
And so what you do is you basically have all these special forces type guys. That's your kill team. And your command roster is the dudes you can put on the table. You don't put all of them on the table at the same time because if you're playing a campaign,
You can swap them out.
right,
Okay.
between missions, anybody who gets out of action, you actually roll in between the missions to see if they are permanently dead or just injured or out for a mission. Sometimes you can put them back in if they're a really key piece, but they may be -1 at everything for that mission because they're still recovering from their injuries. And that's how that works, and that's why you do that. But generally speaking, unless you're playing commanders, you're only, or the mission dictates otherwise, you only do a 100-point kill team.
Gotcha.
I must have missed that rule in the book about the command rosters and rolling to see if they're dead.
It's in the campaign at the very back of it,
Oh, okay.
in the campaign stuff. I read through that to see how to actually set up a kill team campaign and all that kind of stuff, because maybe one day when I'm motivated, I'll write up a bunch of crap about it and get crazy with the mind of me.
Do it.
You all need to rescue these dildos.
But we don't want to rescue those dildos.
Such a dildo.
The murder face kill team.
Murder face, murder face, murder face.
I too got cool cod piece.
Good for you.
That is-
And my question is, was that cod piece part of the new hobby pre-orders from Games Workshop for this
Oh.
holiday season?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That would be really cool if they did a hobby cod piece. Like, just in case you drop your hobby knife in your lap.
Although I have been drooling over that handmade objects, Robbie G, that I'll never be able to afford in a million years.
Really, how much is it?
$1,098.
Don't want to afford it.
It's 25 inches tall, though.
I mean,
so-
it is a beautiful model. Don't get me wrong. I've seen the pictures, and it's pretty badass. But yeah, no, not gonna spend $1,000 on a model.
But I figured out early what the retail value is.
Have you bought any raffle tickets for the Nova Open Charity Foundation? I did.
You know, the charity I get, but I just didn't see anything I want. I saw the Nurgle Knight.
You didn't want that?
I didn't like the pink on it.
That thing's awesome.
The pink kind of like turned me off of it.
Joe Johnson has come to your house and slap you so freaking hard your mama will feel it.
I'll slap him back and be like, paint it something besides pink. Then I'll buy all the raffle tickets.
And I'm going to tell him where you live.
If it wasn't for the pink, I would have bought a bunch of raffle tickets.
It's like fleshy pink sores. I don't mind the pink. I think it's actually kind of cool because it contrasts off the green.
I mean, I don't know. It just looks unfinished because it's just like bright pink.
Well, you're only seeing the pictures. I'm sure it looks way different. I don't know. But he's a very good painter, so I trust that the pink is probably washed out in the camera light or something a little bit because I know he paints good. I've seen his stuff. And honestly, when I picked up the Warlord Titan, he was showing me a little bit of it on his phone, and the pictures he had on his phone were a bit different than the Nova Open Charity Foundation. The pink isn't quite as crazy as they are in those pictures.
Okay.
I don't know if they put it through a filter or what, but it is a really good looking knight, and it's cool because it has LED blaster lights. Pew, 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 pew. So hobby releases. The paint pot, I'm stoked about that.
I didn't see the paint pot.
You didn't? It's like I'm not sure what it's exactly made out of. But it looks like it might be kind of rubberized.
Because they usually just pawn off a coffee cup on you. Say it's a paint pot.
Well, yeah, that's what the most recent ones are. I like the older ones that had the different size little cutouts in the thing.
Those are the ones that I have.
To put your brush in, that hold your brush kind of up off the bottom of it. However, they don't always work with all the kinds of brushes. If you're only using GW brushes, they're perfect. But otherwise, they don't always work right.
Whoa.
Yeah, the extra
large painting handle?
Yeah, that thing looks sweet. We're getting there. Don't get ahead.
It's got helping hands, too.
Don't get ahead of the game,
I can't help it. It's so cool.
But the that pot has, like, the little notches in it where you can actually set your brush so it looks right and works right and acts right.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's kinda neat looking.
Yeah, it does. It looks neat.
It's like a silicone...
Yeah, I can't tell. Is it silicone or is it like
that's what it looks
plastic
like.
with a silicone ring on it?
It looks like it's just a silicone cup that's got little notches where you can just notch the brush in there.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but still, it's really nice.
Which is great because you could just throw that in a bag and you don't have to worry about it like...
Right, and I pre-ordered that thing.
A bunch of space.
And it's probably a little bit easier to clean than the plastic.
Well, yeah, because you can put that in like super hot water.
Mm-hmm. You can run it through the dishwasher.
You can.
I don't know if you'd want to do that. But and then, of course, the extra large painting handle for painting your bigger size base stuff. That's fancy.
That'd be very helpful.
I don't know. The paint handle with the helping hands?
Yeah, that's the construction handle.
So that's going to make painting like Celestine so much easier. Because from what it's looking like, at least on the box, they got the little, what's the little flyy Primaris guys?
The Inceptor?
The Inceptor. With
yes.
the jetpacks. It's got it so like you put it in there and then you can like clip it to its legs to kind of keep it steady.
Yeah, it's for assembling. So you can put pieces in the hands and then glue them and then have them held there.
Neat.
I mean, you could also wager, because you know how the Celestine model's got all those little scrolls that she's essentially just propped up on. You can put the base in there and you can use the helping hands to like hold it steady.
Right.
And that's what my first thought is, to hold that model steady so you can actually
It has so many uses.
So useful.
Incredibly useful.
Oh, what's this new hobby box?
Yes, they have the hobby boxes, which those are really, really cool for anybody starting out or if you need a refill on your paints. They all come with paints and the different little carrying bits and stuff in them. The only thing I didn't notice that if they had one that was just the hobby box, because I would totally buy the empty hobby box, but everything I saw came with paints or brushes or some variation thereof.
No, because
I don't need those. I don't need the paints.
What it's looking like is all their holiday stuff is, instead of, like when I got my Ultimate Paint set, it just came in the cardboard. It looks like for their holiday release, like all the paint sets are coming in the hard plastic cases.
Yes. And someone leaked a photograph of the army boxes that are going to be coming out from like one of their new catalogs or something. And one of them, they're going to be doing an Imperial Fists Space Marine army box.
I love those guys.
There was a really cool looking Eldar Craft World one that looked nice. There was a couple others, and I can't really remember what other ones they had, but they were pretty snazzy looking. The main ones I saw were like, I was like, oh, the Imperial Fist, that's cool. They're kind of giving that chapter a little bit of love.
Time to get fisted.
Ultramarines, which is on everything.
Now, have you just seen the box or have you seen the foam? Because that's my biggest peeve with Games Workshop is the foam. It's just
the foam. What are you talking about?
The foam inside the box.
There's not foam inside the box. Everything's on a sprue.
We are talking about like an army carrying box, right?
No.
Oh.
No, the boxes of miniatures that you buy, like the Tyranid box.
Ah.
Yeah, the army boxes that they sell every holiday.
The battle forces.
Yeah, battle forces, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, they've got an Imperial Fist one. They've got an Eldar Craft World one that comes with a bunch of Guardians and like a Wraith Knight, or not Wraith Knight, but I don't know, a bunch of Wraith stuff.
I know.
Wraith
I'd actually be pretty excited for an Imperial Fist. I might get that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always loved the Imperial Fists, but it's like you said, everything's Ultramarines. So
Right.
It's like even the upgrade shoulder pads is only Ultramarines unless you want to go to Forge World.
Right.
So I'm excited that they'll have just not the generic shoulder pad, but it'll have the Imperial Fist logos.
I assume so.
Embossed.
The pictures were potato cam. They were really washed out, so it was hard to see exactly what everything was and how it was going. But it was pretty fancy.
Yeah,
fancy dancy.
You could make like a beast, the Beast Arises army, and then just have it killed down to the last man
By orcs, which we have the codex. I actually have no interest in playing an orcs army. I love orcs. I think they're cool, but I don't like playing them.
I think everyone loves orcs because
I think
their story wise is great.
Yeah, I think if you don't like orcs, you kind of have no soul.
I just don't think people don't want to deal with the sheer amount of orcs you need.
Right, and models you have to paint, which this gives you options, so you don't necessarily have to do a big giant horde boys list. I don't know how effective it would be if you didn't, but you don't have to.
I don't know, that list that Derek played with, it looks pretty fun. The one with the Stompa and the 2 Gorkanauts and then just all the mech boys.
It was, but it had its limitations. I mean, we continued playing that game.
I'm saying for funsies though.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that just looked like a fun army.
For funsies, it was cool. It was giant robots, man. It was funsies. And the Stompa and stuff is actually outrageous, but it's way better now apparently in the codex. So there's a reason it's like 847 points or some nonsense like that.
Ooh.
Let's look, because we can go right into the Orc Codex talking about. Let's see. We're going to flip pages. I hope everyone can hear it because that's supposedly a faux pas.
Shush.
Points values. Mm-hmm. Lords of War. Stomp up. 850 points. Does not include war gear.
So you got to pay for all the extra nonsense.
Yep.
So you're talking about 1,000-point model when it's all said and done almost.
Possibly. Let's see if it comes with anything. Let's see. It is equipped with a Def Cannon, Super Gatla, 3 big shooters, a twin big shooter, 3 super rockets, a Scorcher, and a Mega Chopper. So you can upgrade it because you can take 2 additional super rockets. But it comes 850 points with all that. It's 46 power level.
Good lord.
40 wounds.
Good God.
Yeah.
That's a headache.
Yeah, it dies a lot easier than you think.
Really?
Well, it is orcish. They're not the hardest things to kill.
Fair enough.
The only thing, it does have the Stompa Riga Crew rule, and it basically says you can attempt repairs at the end of the movement phase. So if you do so, you roll a d6. On a 2+, the model regains d3 lost wounds. A model can only be repaired once each turn.
On a 2+ though.
Yeah, so it basically regains anywhere from 1 to 3 wounds every turn. So you better be doing more than that to actually
What's
knock
its
it down.
toughness though?
8.
Oh, so it's got pretty good toughness.
Decent, yeah. But I mean, a Knight Castellan can work it over. It's not going to kill it in one turn.
Well, I'm saying if you're playing against an army that's mostly infantry and light vehicles.
Oh, it's going to ruin their day. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to have a lot that's going to hurt it.
That's why I always have a Predator.
Or a bunch of Devastators. If you're playing Marines.
We don't have Devastators.
You should.
I mean, basically every Plague Marine is a Devastator, potentially.
Or you could get, a bunch of Gene Stealers in melee range. They'll work it over.
Yeah.
That whole AP -4 Rending Claw, it won't have a save. 150 attacks. Easy to do with Gene Stealers. Trust me. Gene Stealers in melee, with the right buffs, are ugly. And even if they don't get the AP -4, they're still nasty.
Shush.
So a little bit of orc lore.
Lork ore. Think it'd be Gork lore?
Gork, yeah.
Or
Gork and Mork.
Or Mork lore.
Yes, depends on whether you're brutal but cunning or cunning but brutal. The orcs don't really know where the hell they came from.
The Corks.
Because they don't remember.
And
they don't care. And neither should you.
Because they're fungus.
Well, they are fungus, potentially. Possibly fungus.
No, they're totally fungus.
The Corks.
There is a very good chance they're fungus.
And there's a very solid theory on where they actually came from. They just don't know that.
Yeah, the old ones created them to destroy something.
The old ones created them to be kind of like a firewall from from the Tyranids.
Yeah, it was either the Tyranids.
It wasn't
potentially the Tyranids, or they created them to help against the Necrons.
They created them
because
initially.
When the old ones were creating stuff was long before the Tyranids made it to the galaxy.
The theory is they created the orcs to really help snuff out the Necrons, because let's face it, the Eldar just were not having a good day at that time. But they ended up being kind of just a galactic firewall against the Tyranids.
Yeah, to some extent. But they just like to fight. That's really all there is to it. They got different clans. They have a hierarchy structure. Bigger and savage is better.
Say that again.
Hierarchy.
Hierarchy?
You can say it either way.
I had to catch you on something.
That you're making up.
I am not making it up.
You can pronounce it either way.
No, it is not a tomato situation.
Look, I can pronounce shit however the hell I want. I've heard people on damn podcasts say Najal Stormcaller. So suck my nuts. Okay. I'm gonna say hierarchy the whole entire time if I want.
Fun fact. If you listen to if the Emperor have a text-to-speech device, there is an episode where he actually explains the origins of many things, including the orcs, and it is hilarious. Go listen to it.
Yeah. But he kind of explains it in a Nick kind of way.
Yes, but it's still funny.
It is. Sometimes Nick explains things funny. Sometimes he doesn't. I can say it however I want.
Swish, swish,
swish,
swish, swish.
Is that making you feel better?
A little bit. Okay, I'm done.
I was like, you're gonna do it into the mic?
Anyway, the codex is awesome. I love all the orkiness about it. Goes over all the different clan stuff.
You like its quirks?
Yes.
Yes.
The Goth clan. That's kind of like the big predominant clan. Evil Suns and Blood Axes and Death Skulls and Bad Moons. Snake Bites and Freebooters. They all have their own culture.
With a K.
Yeah. Did I fucking say that right? Even goes over the history of them in the galaxy. All their fanciness. All their different units and stuff, like most codexes do.
think Eric's mad at me.
No, I'm not mad at you.
You'll be fine. Walk it off.
You can cry about it later. But some of the standout units being, things like Storm Boys, the different things. It's more like, I don't think there's any one unit that's particularly like super amazing.
So is it going to change it to where it's not just people running a metric crap ton of boys, and you might actually see some dynamics in the army that make it interesting?
I believe so, because you'll have like all the Cult of Speed stuff is pretty cool, and they get a lot of synergy type rules together with different stuff. The big rule that everybody's crazy about is Daka Daka Daka, which is where it's basically exploding sixes. The entire army gets, entire orc, everything. Any sixes generate additional attacks in shooting.
Oh, nice.
So, if you have 150 boys shooting, all those sixes are going to be additional attack rolls.
On top of hitting.
Right.
So they shoot and they hit on sixes, and then they roll those sixes again.
So, yeah, if you're 150 and you hit on fives and sixes, you're going to hit 30% of that, which is like 50.
Now, I'm assuming those sixes can't be added on. You can't roll second time and get more sixes and keep rolling, can you?
No, it's just once. So, if you do the math, 150 shooting attacks, you're going to roll your D6s, and, roughly 30% on a 5-up are going to hit, and then you're going to have 50 hits. Out of those 50, you're going to get about 10 sixes on average. So those 10 sixes will generate further attacks, which will give you about another 3 hits. So you're going to end up having like 53-ish hits on average.
And 3 extra hits is better than no extra hits.
Right. Because you never know. One of those might get through.
I don't know. I definitely would be interested maybe to build something small with just war buggies, because I've seen that those synergize together. And
Boomdecker Snazwagons.
I love their names so much.
It's great.
Did I pronounce that one right, too?
You didn't say it in a Cockney accent.
Shit cannon. That's right. I just called Nick a shit cannon.
Come on. Swish. Just a joke. I'm done.
Swish.
I know. I don't care. And you're not really a shit cannon.
So mean to me.
Whatever.
This is an abusive relationship.
But yeah, you got the shock jump dragsters, the custom booster blasters, the rocket truck squig buggies.
Can you do these?
I do like the squig buggy.
The rocket truck squig buggy.
It's got a squig launcher, and the back of it's just filled with squigs.
I know. Honestly, if I was gonna make an orc army, I would just want to do rocket truck squig buggies, just so I could say that. Like I would do that in the Boomdecker Snazwagons.
And then I like with the squig buggy. I just love the one orc just casually sitting on the back of it.
Right.
If you've seen the model,
I have.
You should just name all these in like an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. It'd be amazing.
Let me tell you something. You've got a Boomdecker Snazwagon and a rocket truck squig buggy.
Get to the death copter.
Watch out for the mega truck scrap jet.
Beautiful, beautiful.
One time, I was sitting there, and this guy comes up in a custom booster blaster.
In the custom booster blaster.
He threw a Vegemite sandwich at me. I had to throw in an 80s song reference because it's fun.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
So yeah, the orcs look like they're going to actually have some very cool stuff, different rules, and like I said, synergies that go with the rules, and different neat things that you can do. And you can do the Cult of Speed, or you can do a bunch of boys, or knobs, different things. Gretchen screens though are probably going to be big deals. Grots.
I know what they are.
Everybody loves grots.
I don't like painting them. I don't like painting a metric crap ton of orcs to start with. That's why mine would just be a total vehicle army. Just for funsies.
Honestly, I think doing them with an airbrush would be relatively, or at least a lot easier.
I mean, if you were doing just the basic on the box, their armor is black with the metal scratches, they'd probably be easy. Because it's like you paint their heads, their hands, and the little leather parts and done.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about grots. because
Oh.
you could just
Well,
you know,
most
do
of them
the-
don't wear anything but scraps, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the black primer with the whitish gray on the top highlights and stuff, and then just hit them with green inks, and then wash them, and then maybe dry brush a little bit, pick out details, and then you'd be done. You could probably do a grot in a few minutes, which would be the only way that I'd ever want to do them because, oh my god. But I will tell you this: I think if you got into doing orcs and you did a boys list or a decent sized boys list, you would probably become a much quicker painter real fast.
No crap. I've seen people that literally just put a pile of orcs on the table and say, okay, let's go.
Yep.
They don't set them up. They just take them out, pile them on the table, and that's it.
I mean, that sounds like a good time to me.
What you looking for on your phone, Nick?
Who
I'm
cares?
just looking at some of the orc releases,
Oh, look
Yeah,
at that.
they're fancy. They're all fancy.
seeing what you can get in box sets.
Oh.
Yep. There is they're probably going to come out. I think they're going to have a orc box and the new stuff.
Wait. Are they in there, Eric?
What?
Digger knobs!
No, they don't. They did not bring back Diganob.
Oh! That's so disappointing.
Yep. You still just have to use Wolfen.
Digonabs.
Rules. The general rules of the orc army. You have your basic clan word. You've got the here we go. You know, the Daka we already talked about. The here we go is re-rolling charge rolls for that unit. You can re-roll any or all of the dice, which is kind of different because usually if you re-roll, can do a re-roll charge, it's usually just one of the dice. Mob rule, basically whenever you're using a leadership characteristic, you can use its own, or you can choose a leadership characteristic equal to either number of the models in the unit or the number of models in another friendly unit within 6 inches. Speed mob, which is for cult of speed, and that's basically that everything that is in a speed mob has to be set up within 6 inches of each other. Then after that, they're their own units. So that's pretty cool. When you get into the various clan cultures and different things like that, and relics and warlord traits, things get crazy. Ways of the Warbands. One of my favorite rule names is "This is ours, Zog off." And that's basically your objective secured rule. Then you have your clan cultures, and that goes into, we'll go into all those. Guns for Hire is for Flashkits, including Captain Badrook, who's probably my favorite orc model.
Oh,
Dude, pirate orc, yeah, awesome.
I honestly, I love the Flashkits models in general.
Oh, dude, yeah.
with their snaz guns and
Yeah. The Flashkits are awesome. Freebooter Flashkits are awesome. But they can be included in an orc detachment without preventing other units in that detachment from gaining a clan culture, however, which is awesome. Note, however, that Flashkits units do not themselves benefit from any clan culture unless the clan culture selected for the detachment is the Freebooters clan culture. So they have their own if they're in a detachment that has a different clan. Like if you put them in a Bad Moons clan culture, the Bad Moons keep their rules. You don't get the Freebooters rules for the Freebooter guys. But all the Bad Moon guys will still have their own thing.
so.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it's just saying that
Yeah.
you can use them without everyone in the detachment having to be bad
Freebooters
moons,
or everyone having to be Bad Moons, yeah.
but it's like the freebooters won't get their rules, but the bad moons will get theirs.
Right. It'd be like if you were dumbass enough to do a Tau Fire War, a Tau detachment that was Tau Empire, and then you wanted to have one unit of Farside Enclaves.
None of them get anything.
None of them would get anything. Nobody would be able to do Farside Enclaves. So this is basically says, well, your Freebooters don't get the special Freebooters culture, and they don't benefit from the Bad Moons culture. The Bad Moons themselves still have their Bad Moons culture if that's the detachment.
Huh.
And then Grots. A unit comprised entirely of Gretchen cannot benefit from any clan culture. In addition, orc stratagems can only be used on these units if the stratagem explicitly states. The Grot Shield stratagem is an example thereof. So for the clan cultures that we can go over, the Goths, no mucking about. Basically, each time you roll an unmodified hit roll of 6 for an attack with a melee weapon, you get to make an additional hit roll against the same target using the same weapon. The additional hit rolls cannot generate further attack rolls.
So it's just a daka for melee.
Yes, and only the Goths get it. Bad Moons, armed to the teeth. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by models with this culture in the shooting phase. Which, that works great with Daka because then you're rerolling your 1s, which could potentially roll over into more 6s. Screwing with probabilities, we is. Evil Sons is the red ones go faster.
I wish they'd bring that rule back.
Yeah, because this is just an add 1 to the move characteristic of models with this culture, adding 2 instead if that model is a speed freak keyword. So that's pretty cool.
So it basically is the red go fast, except you don't actually have to paint red on anything.
Right. I wish it said you have to paint the shit red, because that would be awesome.
Or it just had to have red on it.
Well, yeah. Death Skulls. Lucky Blue Gits. Models of this culture have a 6-up invulnerable save. In addition, you can reroll a single hit roll, single wound roll, and a single damage roll for each unit with this culture each time it shoots or fights. In addition, infantry units with this culture gain the This Is Our Zolgoth ability, even if they do not have the troops battlefield rule. So your elites can get it and stuff like that. It's kind of cool that they get objective secured instead of just infantry, troops. Snake Bites is the old ways. You roll a dice each time a model of this culture loses a wound. On a 6, the wound is not lost. It's basically a 6-up feel no pain. If a model has a similar ability, you can choose which ability to use when the model loses a wound, but you cannot use both.
That one doesn't sound as cool as some of the other ones.
No, but it's Snake Bites. And apparently nobody really likes Snake Bites from what I hear.
Because nobody likes the old ways.
No, they don't. Because they're stupid. Blood Axes. Tactics. Which is kind of like Tic Tacs.
I mean, tactics and orcs is kind of an oxymoron.
Right.
Unless you're Gazgul.
Or the tactics are, we're going to run at them and shoot. A unit with this culture gains the benefit of cover even while they are not entirely on or in a terrain feature if the enemy model making the attack is at least 18 inches away. In addition, units with this culture can shoot or charge, but not both, even if they fell back in the same turn.
Oh, so they can fall back and shoot.
Or fall back and charge.
Or fall back and charge again.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
That's good.
Yeah, because, it is good because you figure you're 1 inch, you fall back, and not only do you get to charge again, but you get that benefit of being the one that charged. So
I'm just mentally imagining this actually happening, though, and how much pain in the ass that would be.
Yeah, because then they just get to fight first, because it's like, surprise.
Yep. And the freebooters is Competitive Streak. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by models with this culture if any other friendly unit within this culture, or with this culture within 24 inches has destroyed an enemy unit this phase. So the more shit you're killing, the better you're hitting. Add 1 to hit rolls, yeah.
So say that again.
Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by models with this culture if any other friendly unit with this culture within 24 inches has destroyed an enemy unit this phase.
Well, they got to destroy the whole unit, though.
Right, but you could essentially have 1 unit destroy something, and maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but it sounds like it stacks. So if you essentially had a unit destroy 1, another unit's 24 inches, it'll get a +1. Then once that destroys that unit, the third unit within 24 inches, when it attacks the third enemy unit, would it get it?
Let us know your interpretation of this.
Yeah, now if 1 unit destroys 2 units, you'd only get a +1 because it's any other friendly unit. But if you have 2 other friendly units and they each destroy a unit,
so you're saying a unit with the +1 destroys a unit, and then it gives another +1 to a unit that might potentially already have the +1 for a +2?
That's the way it reads to me, because it just says add 1 to hit rolls. Hit rolls for attacks made by models with this culture if any other friendly unit with this culture within 24 inches has destroyed an enemy unit this phase. So you get 1 per unit, per friendly unit within 24 inches that destroyed an enemy unit. So if you had 3 units and they were all within 24 inches of each other, and Unit A kills an enemy unit, then Unit B would get a +1. Then if Unit B on their attacks kills an enemy unit, Unit C would get +2.
I mean, I could see it both ways.
That's just that could be how they mean it. I don't know. Maybe they just mean
they
one.
they might just normal. You know how I bet you there will be an errata that says
that
it only gets the +1.
That clarifies
or it stacks.
But I mean, honestly, for that to happen, 3 units within 24 inches of each other, each killing a unit in one turn,
It's kind of slim.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but it could happen. The stratagems are nuts. Straight up ballsack nuts. Like Teleporta. Probably one of the best ones, in my opinion. 2 CP, you can literally, put any unit that is an orc army with power rating of 20 or less. So that's literally
Good Lord.
everything but a Stompa. Unless it's like a big mobbed up thing of boys for a whole ton of power level. But, it's going to be, even like the Gorkanaut and Morkanaut, they're like 15 or 17.
So what, you just get to teleport them anywhere you want? With it?
Well,
9 inches away from an enemy unit?
Yeah, it lets you deep strike them basically on turn 2. Or,
Nice.
any turn after turn 1, basically. Since you can't deep strike on turn 1. But it lets you set them up on a teleporta pad and drop them in and ruin someone's day. The Grot Shields, which we talked about earlier, is 1 CP. This is a clan infantry unit from your army. You can use it after, let's see. Use this stratagem after a clan infantry unit from your army, excluding units comprised entirely of Gretchen models, has been hit by a ranged weapon. Until the end of the phase, you can roll a d6 each time a model from that unit loses a wound if there is a friendly unit comprised entirely of clan Gretchen infantry models within 6 inches of it, and the Gretchen unit is closer to the attacking model than the target. On a 2-up, the original model does not lose the wound, but one model in that Gretchen unit, your choice, is slain. Otherwise, the model loses the wound as normal. So it's kind of like the...
Look out, sir, with Gretchen.
Yeah.
It's like the Death Shroud, except for orcs.
Right, exactly. So there's that. You can actually spend 2 CP for more DACA. And that means your DACA ability triggers on a 5 and a 6.
Nice.
So that makes it a lot nastier.
Especially if you're just using a shooty army of boys.
Right.
Shoot boys.
All of these are pretty cheap stratagems. 1 CP, you can use at the start of your movement phase, and you get a Speed Freaks unit. Until the start of your next turn, you subtract 1 from hit rolls against that unit. So basically, you get a, -1 to hit on all your Speed Freaks.
But more DACA and the DACA makes it more viable. Well, I guess they've always been viable, but personally, my favorite unit's always been looters and shooters.
Right.
But, you get a lot of shooters.
Right.
Shoosting.
So that is a lot of cool stuff about the orcs.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a good codex. I'm going to look forward to playing against it. I think that shooty armies, like, say, Tau, anything that has a decent high volume of quality shots, are going to give orcs a run for their money.
But tough armies like Death Guard would probably be a better matchup.
Depending. Because, the thing is, even with a high toughness, they've got such a volume of shooting and wounds coming back. The whole point is, Alpha Strike with heavy shooting that's lots of high quality shots, and you're taking out all those boys.
Yeah, but the Death Guard don't get a lot of shots.
No, they don't.
Their whole, that's what I was saying.
That's why they're going to have
was
problems
the
with
Tau
forward.
would give orcs a run for their money, but something like Death Guard, I feel like won't do bad, but it'll be more of a challenge.
Yeah, I see those games ending more in draws because it's going to be hard for the orcs to...
Because the best option at that point is going to be to just pelt them with Plague Burst crawlers and keep them at bay.
Right. And then the orcs themselves are going to, slowly through attrition wear down the death guard, but who knows? And then, I think other assaulty armies like Blood Angels or Space Wolves, they may have some issues depending.
But actually, you know what? I thought of something. That's an orc matchup would actually be the perfect time to field Mortarion, because you're going to be using and abusing that lantern to take out as much as humanly possible.
I mean, I think you can build a list to counter everything and vice versa. So, I mean, you can technically go, cool, well, I'm going to be playing, somebody with my buddy with an orc army, so I'm going to build this list to be crazy.
Bring your frag missiles.
Yeah, and have a bunch of stuff like that, or grenades or something, or Astra Militarum. I'm just gonna put a bunch of basilisks in this list. See what they think of that.
Or just sit on the other side of the board and be
boom,
But I think anything that's not a high shots list is gonna need a lot of multi-wounding weapons like frag missiles and any kind of mortar, whether it be a plague burst or basilisk or Deathwatch would be good. You get a whole unit full of Deathwatch frag cannons, probably mess up some orcs.
Most likely.
Because you in a Deathwatch army, you can put as many frag cannons as you want in a squad.
Right. But I mean, the thing, and the reason I thought of Tau was because you get that Cadre Fireblade in there with 3 units, and
the first rank fire. Well, I guess not the first rank fire. That's an Imperial Guard thing, but the same concept.
I mean, the minute they're in rapid fire range, you're firing 3 shots per model. You get 3 units of 10. You're doing 30, 60, 90 plus shots. And then, you get your marker lights on there so they do a little more, because, the Tau hit better than the orcs do. And then the orcs don't have a save, and the Tau pulse rifles, even though
they got a t-shirt save.
Well, yeah, they got a t-shirt save. But, and the Tau pulse rifles, one of the things that sucks about the pulse rifles is they're AP0. Which is good against stuff like Imperial Guard or orcs and things like that. But you get them against Space Marines with a 3-up save, shoot all day at those guys. And against Death Guard, Fire Warriors suck.
Just piss them off, really.
Yeah, I have fired like 76 shots.
That toughness 5, man, it screws with people.
I have fired 76 shots out of several units of Fire Warriors into one unit of Plague Marines. And I've killed like 2 Plague Marines.
I've had people do that, and it's like 5 Plague Marines, and they killed nothing.
Right.
And that's with Space Marines. They're shooting with Space Marines. They're like, I killed nothing.
Right. I mean, it gets ridiculous.
And I thought another advantage that the Plague Marines do have is they do have an 18-inch rapid fire range. Because Plague Marines.
Right. So they get the higher rapid fire range.
And they're all relentless, so you can load your Plague Marine squads to the gills with as many heavy weapons as they can carry.
Now it'll be interesting to see how Dark Eldar do against orcs.
I've never really thought much of. I've never done much research into any Eldar army. They just confuse me.
They're cool. I like them because of they have more the synergistic feel, and they're all tricksy, and
I like them because the models look cool.
Yeah, and the models, to me, the models do look cool. I like the Eldar models. I haven't really. I had a little bit of an Eldar army at the beginning of 8th, and I kind of got annoyed with it and got rid of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll get another one. I don't know. I may just do Dark Eldar, but I've been working on a Drew Carey kill team. That's witches and Kabbalites.
I've got my Thousand Suns kill team that I just have to paint, and I'm waiting for my flippin' gold spray paint that never showed up.
Because it hates you.
Can you get me some gold spray paint?
No. I can pee in your shoes.
What does that even have to do with it?
It'll still be gold.
I mean, depending on what I've drank and how much I drank, and.
But yeah, that's literally the only thing I'm missing is the Balthazar gold spray. I need it.
I just put Retributor armor thinned it down in my airbrush.
Oh no, not Balthazar gold. The Retributor armor gold. I need that.
Yeah,
spray.
I was gonna say I didn't know they had Balthazar gold spray, but if they came out with it, cool.
They might. Have you looked? They have a lot of sprays that like no one ever hears about.
No, I haven't looked. I know there's a lot of them. That's why I wasn't refuting the fact they may or may not have a Balthazar gold spray. But I know that's not a big popular gold color.
I mean, I could try to get away with just thinning down Retributor armor in an airbrush that I don't have.
Maybe if you had an airbrush.
Yeah, I don't have one. It sucks.
There's places that sell those.
I can't afford one right now.
Me.
Maybe you should work harder.
You do just get a promotion.
It doesn't matter how hard I work, I get paid the same.
Well,
There's
that's
not
just
much incentive.
Well, maybe you just need a new job.
But they gave me a gun. I mean, that was enough
Can't you
incentive
just get
for me
one?
to like take the job anyways.
I mean, I have a gun at my job.
Yeah,
That's got a
but
point.
the fact that someone said, "Here's a badge, here's a gun," to me,
I mean, he could do that. It just, well,
that would be the most fun in the world. Eric would be the best cop partner ever, and we'd have a good old time.
I would just say
I would
he
be
could give you a
horrible
badge
as a
and a gun.
police officer. I would end up getting in so much trouble because I would seriously get frustrated and I would just shoot someone. I'd just be like, "Oh, really? Really? No. Yeah, okay. Pop, pop. There go your kneecaps."
No knees for you.
Because you're annoying me. So yeah, that's why they don't give me a gun. That's why I'm not a police officer. Can't do that job. I'm better where I am.
I'd be the one he'd probably shoot.
Yeah, most likely.
And I'd still be on the gun like, I didn't need that.
You did need that.
I didn't need it.
You thought you needed it.
You needed it.
So yeah,
Stuff.
that was stuff. That was talking about things.
Good.
We did that.
Yeah,
We achieved things.
we
Here.
have had a lot of awkward pauses.
It's your fault.
It always happens when you're here.
No, it doesn't. It happened like the first night I was here.
It happens all the time when you're here.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Stop lying to yourself.
I'm not lying to myself. It's all because of you, Nick.
I guess I'll take the blame.
There you go.
I'll be your scapegoat.
You should. That's what you do. But anyway, I was going to say good job, dipshit. I was going to say we might just go ahead and take us a wee little break here. And when we come back, we'll get into some hobby segment talk.
Take a commercial break.
And some other games and stuff. We don't have commercials.
To the warp.
Because nobody wants to sponsor us. Because you're an asshole.
No. I think it's because of Cody's puns.
I
Most
completely
likely.
disagree.
We will totally blame Cody's puns.
Although
People
I
love the
haven't
puns.
heard any tonight, so
He's thrown a couple out there. They've been quiet and
Yeah.
off the cuff and low volumed
And-
while other people are talking.
In my defense, I've spent the last 2 days slowly dying, and I'm still recovering, so I'm not quite at the top of my game tonight.
you'll be fine.
He got a cold.
Oh, you
Bad
got a
cold.
cold.
It's either that or the flu. I couldn't tell, but it sucked. But
I mean, he
lived.
did look like death warmed over Saturday night. We were just like, yeah, you go home early.
Yeah.
Go away. Shoot.
Got home at like 103 fever. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that's happened.
Good times.
Yeesh.
It was fun for all. We did merry-go-rounds and carnival rides.
They had a party when I left.
And one time we gave him a caramel apple. Anyway, on
That'd
that
been
note,
lovely.
we're going to take us a wee little break and chill out for a minute.
Stop biting Titanicus.
And then we're going to watch Nick eat a box of Warhound Titans.
This will be amazing.
Anyway, and then we'll be right back with some hobby talk. And we're back to talk about basing and you.
Basing
Yay.
and you.
How important it is to base your models.
Not very.
It is important.
How important.
Very important. Makes them look fancy. Gives them that little finishing touch. Makes them look like they're actually on the battlefield doing things, blowing stuff up.
Except
This-
9 times out of 10, they don't match the actual battlefield.
I was about to say. That's not how that works.
I mean, sometimes they do,
Sometimes.
but it does give them that finishing touch for the whole display purposes. And should you actually decide to go more competitive, it is important to have them based because they care about that kind of thing. Me personally, I hate basing. I think it's tedious and annoying and aggravating. But at the same time, I do recognize that it does make your models look a lot better, a lot cooler, and it does add that little pizzazz.
You know, I found I don't
Pizzazz.
hate basing like infantry, but when you start getting to the bigger bases is when it gets tedious and annoying.
I actually really like it. Like when I based Vault Boy Call, doing that big old base with all the corkboard and craziness on it, and smearing acrylic paste everywhere and making it look all like messed up, screwed up concrete rubble and stuff. I actually had a lot of fun doing that base. I don't like the little infantry bases. I'm kind of like, who cares?
Well, I guess I'm thinking more like
This is the soil that this guy's gonna piss himself on.
not
Stew.
not necessarily building up a base. I see the fun in that. But if you're just going for like a ground base, or if you're like me and you like to use the iron earth or any of the cracking,
Mm-hmm.
like any of the crackling basing paint, putty, whatever it is, really.
Yeah.
Like it gets tedious because the way it works is it cracks heavier where the paint is more built up. So it gets tedious kind of building it up, or finding places where you don't want it as built up, or any kind of stuff like that.
I didn't have that problem. The only problem I had with like when I did the Helverins and stuff for the Mechanicus army, doing those, I was like piling that crap on there, and I'm like, this little pot of stuff cost me this amount of money, and it went through like 2 Helverins and a couple other bases.
Oh yeah, it
and that's
doesn't last long at all. I
No.
used the whole pot on my Titanicus Warlord Titan.
Now, when you're
Nice.
doing infantry models, it seems to go longer because you're getting more models per thing because they're smaller bases, obviously. So it does make sense, but it was still kind of like, oh my god, I'm realizing how big of a kind of rip this stuff is, even though it's really cool.
It is really cool.
I
but
do like it.
for the bigger bases.
Nope. I actually bought a big old pot of AK Interactive acrylic paste stuff that kind of does a similar thing, but it dries white, so you do have to actually prime it and paint it. But it'll crack and do its thing, and it's pretty neat. I got that. Other basing things, little tufts of grass. I like those. Those add a little bit to it. For my kill teams, I got a bunch of the Sector Mechanicus and Sector Imperialis bases.
Are those ones you got for your birthday?
Yeah.
Finally used them on something. huh?
Yeah. I actually airbrushed them on the sprue because I'm like, well, the only connection points are on the side of the base, and I can just go over those with a little bit of black and other stuff. So I airbrushed them and washed them and just kind of said, okay, cool. Just did a quick little thing, but I did like 2 or 3 boxes in one night of just bases. And then that way now, once I'm done with the kill team guys, I'll do it. And one of the ways to do it is if you're going to paint the model, you build them on their actual, plain bases, but you can super glue them because
Just
those,
snap them off.
yeah, the plastic cement stuff you kind of have to cut off if you go into that route, and then snap them off and then put them on the other fancy bases.
Just the tiniest dab of super glue.
Yeah, not much.
Or you will play hell trying to snap them off.
Right, and honestly, using the accelerator helps because it makes since it dries that super glue so fast, it does make it a little more brittle than if you let it set correctly. And it's easier to snap them off their bases at that point. But that worked out pretty well. And I also bought for the Space Wolves, there's a company called Gamers Grass. And they do like pre-done, they're called battle ready bases. And those are a really good product. They're very well done bases. Expensive compared to what it is to do it yourself.
But if you're just doing like a kill team,
Right, it's not bad because you can buy a pack of like 10, 25 millimeters for like $15. And of course they're in Denmark, so it's going to take forever for it to get to you. But
they're
I, th-
ready.
I think they're in Denmark.
But
I'm
they're
not
ready
sure.
to go when you get them.
Right, but all you got to do is open up the pack, pop out the bases, glue them to the base. But I bought enough to base the entire Space Wolves army that I'm doing
Nice.
with those. And it was fun. They're cool. I've got a couple of the guys on them just to check them out. But it's another one of those, paint the dudes, crack them off the base, super glue them to the battle-ready bases.
See, I actually haven't. I didn't start basing until recently, maybe within the last year or so. I used to just leave the bases as they were and just roll with it.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if you want to do it. I mean, it's your hobby. You do what you want.
I will say they definitely do look better if you're like me and you like to actually put them out and not just leave them in the case. They do look better sitting on a shelf when they're based. I mean, I used to just keep them all in the case, but at least the stuff that I have painted, I like to put on the shelves, and they definitely look a lot better with the base. I had a couple of them unbased mixed in there, and they just irritated me so much that I took them all down and just did quick basings on them, which it doesn't have to be too extravagant. Just
no, you can do it quick and fast and dirty, and I mean it's real easy to do, especially with the and I mean I do highly recommend the GW basing stuff. Texture paints is what they call them. You get that in a little spreader tool that GW sells because it's actually really good too.
The little spatula.
Oh, dude, that thing's amazing. I that's one of my that and the mold line remover are like my two favorite GW tools of all time because I even use that thing. The paint doesn't really stick to it, so I'll use that thing whenever I'm mixing up the airbrush. Like I'll dip some paint in there, drop in some flow improver and thinner, and then kind of swirl that thing around in it, and I can wipe it off on the paper towel and. It's good to go for the next time whenever I change colors. Stop coughing, Cody.
Still dying, sorry.
You're ruining the sound quality.
Yeah, man. You're screwing up the entire podcast with your bullshit.
He's got nerds.
I haven't even eaten any.
Why
of
would
them
you
yet.
call Nick a nerd? You do
'Cause
the
it's
same
true.
things he does.
But I've got a better beard.
Maybe.
That's not a
There's
no.
more of it. That doesn't mean better.
I wish I could grow a beard.
Maybe one day.
I got that patchy face.
You should base your models with your beard hair.
That'd be amazing.
Make like little tumbleweeds out of it.
my guys are on planet hair. Now, when you do actually play on a table that has the scenery is set up and your bases actually match the scenery, it looks super awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fancy.
That's
it's
why
cool.
I try to keep my bases pretty generic. So that
Me too.
They match most scenery, except for like my Titanicus stuff, which is Martian
Titanicus.
Iron Earth. It matches like nothing.
I mean, it could.
Okay, if I took my moon base set and
Right.
flipped it over to the Mars set,
and then put your little, Civitas Imperialis or whatever they call it down, those little city buildings down, then it would match.
I have a metric crap ton of buildings at this point. Like, I don't need to buy any more terrain ever.
For Titanicus?
Oh, no, never mind.
Titanicus.
Okay, you're just
I'm
talking about
thinking
in
about
general.
40K. I have 0 Titanicus buildings, but as soon as Christmas is over, I'm going to Walmart and I'm raiding the Christmas Village section.
Dude, I kid you not. It would be so awesome if we did the Titanicus game in a Christmas village.
With destructible buildings, we could just put firecrackers in them.
As long as it doesn't hurt the models. You got shrapnel at that point. We're going to have blast shields on
I need
playing
to watch this.
Titanicus.
Or we could just take a hammer, like crack
Yeah.
holes in them, and do the whole cotton ball black. Just spray some black on them,
Right.
make it look like smoke.
A little bit of fiery cotton balls on there. But it is cool. The other thing I like doing, and Jeremy did this, he takes the bases for the units, and he'll actually paint the rim of the base, like yellow squad, blue squad, red squad, so that you and him can denote which unit is what of his guardsmen real easily.
Especially when you're starting to conglomerate them.
Right. Because he could. There's the Astra Militarum stratagem where they can all glom up together into one big unit, technically, or something along those lines, or behave kind of like one big unit. And he'll do that with them, and that's pretty cool. They, and you can always tell. I can always go, cool. I'm shooting a dude in the red unit. it's a neat thing to do, is to have something along those lines, not just like the squad insignia markings on them that, denotes that this is a unit and that's a unit and that's a unit. And that's where basing can come into play, so that everybody knows what everything is, which is actually really important in not being a douche. Yeah, I stared at Cody when I said that, because he's a douche.
He said with the sexy eyes, though.
I mean, you're still a douche.
He's kind of cute, though.
Some days.
Moving on.
Yep, doing the big bases. We're doing an awkward pause here because Nick is too busy eating nerds to actually do anything.
They're so good.
I mean, how many boxes do you need there, Sugar Rush?
They're not even the purple nerds either.
I don't like the purple ones.
I don't like the pink ones.
So go get the purple ones.
I don't want
and
any.
leave me alone.
I don't want to buy nerds. I don't want to spend money on nerds.
Look, it's his candy fetish. He can eat whatever he wants.
He was complaining about pink earlier, and now it's nothing but pink.
When was I complaining? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he remembered that pretty quick, didn't he? Doing bigger bases can be a lot of fun, because then you can start chopping up terrain and you can get super creative with it. Especially knights and things like that, and put weird stuff on them, and
I actually
dead guys. And
I did that with the second or third knight that I painted. Was I'd take all the leftover like shoulder pads or helmet pieces and crack them up and just make it look like really a knight half buried in the base,
Nice.
or trashed, or
yep, littered about conquered enemies. Because everybody knows that's important.
I think that'd be cool. Remember when Games Workshop used to have the Honorable Dead models, where you had like the Dead Space Marine model? It was like a skeleton that you could literally either use as an objective marker, or you could glue it on a big base. Or
That's
kind of
awesome.
vaguely. I don't think I paid a lot of attention to that stuff back then. There was a long period of my life where I was just like building things, hobby. That part of it, I hated it. Like, I hated putting together models. It was just like, God, let me get through this so I can just paint these dudes. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, ooh, this is lots of fun. I don't know what changed, but something did. And I'm glad of it, because I get a lot more enjoyment out of it now that I enjoy doing all these little things. Now, if I can get to where painting terrain is fun for me, that will be amazing, because I absolutely hate painting terrain.
honestly, I'm kind of like you with the buildings. I'll just paint them either gray or red or blue, and just dry brush over them. I don't worry about picking out the details as long as it looks good staring at it from 4 feet away. Then I'm fine with it.
Right. You know, I think I'm gonna actually do like a little more involved, get a little more involved with my kill team terrain, because there's a lot less of it and stuff. Okay, yeah, I remember those guys. Nick was just showing me the little dead Space Marines. But doing that stuff I think will be cooler, just because, like I said, I really enjoy the whole aspect of kill team for the smaller board, the smaller everything. And I've bought, like, to date, you know, there's the kill zone that actually comes with the kill team, and then I bought the Wall of Martyrs, because that one's awesome.
It's really cool.
It is.
How much of the wall did you buy?
I bought the kill zone Wall of Martyrs.
Oh, okay. Is that
Yeah.
one of the new ones?
Huh?
Oh, yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Kill zone Wall of Martyrs. It's a
Right.
box set.
Okay. And it comes with a few sections of Wall of Martyrs and a kill zone.
Quite a bit of sections. And then you can get Advanced Team Star Pulse, which is the Tau kill team, and it comes with another couple extra sections, which I did that too, because I'm doing a Tau kill team as my main one. I have that and Thousand Suns. And Cody's making noises, but the Thousand Suns are way nastier than the Tau. Because when you played against the Thousand Suns, I was like forgetting half the rules to them.
Yeah, that's the game we played where that one guy just wouldn't die.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
guardsman that Jeremy
And you had that
yeah.
like staff from hell.
Yep. No, that was the Warp Flame pistol.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
nasty.
That's right.
It wiped out like a good quarter of Jeremy's kill team in one shot.
It was pretty amazing yet terrifying.
Yep, it was good stuff.
I'm
Flamers
trying to-
are nasty.
I'm trying to think if I gave any of mine like the warped flamers or anything. I don't know.
The warp, yeah, the flamers are really nasty in kill team because it is all about just once you put that wound on a model, it starts degrading so quick that you can and the way the hits work, you can just blast a whole bunch of dudes if they're all together.
Yeah, I need to go buy another box of rubrics so I can do a whole command roster and not just all I got now is enough for a kill team. But I need to buy a box so I can do a whole command roster.
Yeah, I need more Zangors because there's just not enough, and Zangors are pretty good too. Plus, like I actually want to do a Thousand Sons army at some point.
I do have 2 Zangors,
I know I gave them to you.
but I'll probably buy a box of rubrics and a box of Zangors and just
Yeah, Zangors are hard to find right now.
that good, huh?
Yep.
Pretty sure
GW's out of stock on the 40k Zangors.
pretty sure that we have some at Kapow. So
Well, good times.
good times.
Yeah. So what have you done for basing on your guys?
Well, some of them I've done like just white paint, and then some of the can't remember if it's like Valhallan Blizzard or something like that, but the basically snow
Yeah.
texture paint. Some on that, but I kind of have the same attitude as Nick, to where a lot of them I'm just leaving black or blank, because that way I can kind of use them on whatever map and just mentally envision them blending in, opposed to, oh, it's actually all white and it is on this red lava table and it looks weird.
Have you thought about actually buying the Citadel Snow, where you just get you some Elmer's glue and paint some Elmer's glue on the base and just dip it in the snow?
I have not, but that would not be a bad idea.
It's actually really cool. And then after you do that, you get like some of the Citadel slate, or just go to Hobby Lobby and buy some ground up slate and stick it in there and just put like a little dab of glue on top of that, so you get the snow on the rocks and everything.
Yep, they make that. They also make the buckets of static grass,
Oh, I love static grass.
which I mean you can buy big bags of it from like hobby places for way cheaper than what GW sells it. But I do like their little tray that they put it in because it makes it real easy to just paint it on the
I
base.
love
and
they
dip
put
it.
all of their loose basing stuff, whether that's the sand, the snow, the static grass. Those trays are the best because rather
yeah.
than having to like dump a little out onto a paper plate because the container it comes in isn't big enough to fit a whole base in, you just scoop it on there and tap it on.
Right, tap it off into the thing, and it's a big rectangular thing that you can do, and done deal.
I actually use those after I've used everything in it. You can actually use those for other things too, whether like little paint holders or.
Yes, they're containers. That's what they do.
They're the decorative tins of Warhammer.
Yeah, pretty much.
They just you finish using what's in them and they become the catch-all.
Yep.
Why not?
I also did a thing where, speaking of random hobby stuff that we've done, I took all my GW Citadel pots, and off Amazon, I got the dropper bottles and little funnels, and dumped them all into dropper bottles.
Or your Citadel paint?
Yeah, it makes life so much easier.
Put a BB in the dropper bottle too.
Yep, because you can do that, shake them up. I also added a little bit of thinner to a lot of them. Like not just like water, but actual like thinner that keeps the pigment ratio high, but also thins the paint a little bit, so that they not only will last longer and whatnot, but
What kind of ratio do you put the thinner in?
you know, I poured it in. It was, you know, not a set ratio because some of them are thicker than others, you know. So some of the paints that were more thick, I used more thinner too. And some of the paints that were thinner, I didn't have to use as much. So it changed based on the paint color. But that actually was awesome and amazing because now I can just kind of squirt a little bit on my wet palette and go painting. Makes me happy.
I've started using the palette more, but there's some colors that I still just paint out of the pot.
I love my wet palette. I've gotten so used to that thing that I use it
It
pretty
is,
much every time.
it is rather handy.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I love it too. Because, like you said, there are some paints that are a lot thicker. But then some of the paints that are really thinner, I'll still just paint those out of the pot. I've also started using the air paints and just brushing them on.
Yeah, actually, I've gotten to the point where like the Vallejo Model Air and stuff like that, and even the Citadel Air paints, I prefer those because they're already kind of thin to what you kind of want for a brush paint anyway, and it tends to work better.
Sometimes you got to do a jillion coats, but it looks so good when you get it done.
Well, I mean, that's the way you're supposed to be doing it. Is you're supposed to be doing multiple light coats.
2 thin coats.
Depending on the color.
Because
Because if you can do white in 2 thin coats,
I was making fun of Games Workshop.
well, don't do that. That's
Make
Duncan.
sure you apply the color in 2 thin coats.
That's not Games
That's
Workshop.
what the- that's what-
Duncan.
That's what Duncan says in every single video.
And Duncan's a cool dude. He'd be fun to hang out with.
He would.
They're not going
And
to
we
sponsor
could-
us if you keep making fun of them.
And we could sit and paint and do everything in 2 thin coats.
Yes, and he would love you for it. And that's what matters.
See, that's me though. I get so antsy I don't want to wait for it to dry.
Just be
I
patient.
literally bought a heat lamp to stick my models under.
You know,
while
that's actually why I work on multiple miniatures at a time now, because then I can do like a thin coat on one and then move to the next and do another thin coat. And then, you know, by the time I'm done with the second one, I can go back to the first one and do more coats. And that way I don't have that problem, because I used to get impatient like that. And you get the little weird holes in the paint where you're like, oh, God, I got to fill that with thicker paint now to make it smooth. And then you can never smooth it out.
oh,
right?
you can never match it, and you can never smooth it out.
Nope. And it just turns
or you get fingerprints in it.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you can never fix. You just forever got a fingerprint.
And that is just a debacle waiting to happen. The other thing too, going back to our topic of, hobby topic of basing, dry brushing is very important as a paint technique on basing, because it does wonders, especially for rocks and things like that. You know, you can do what I did for my Mechanicus is actually I did the gray. I can't remember what it's called.
Mechanicus
but
standard.
No. The texture paint that's gray. That's like the concrete or whatever.
Astro Granite.
Yeah, Astro Granite. I did Astro Granite with the Astro Granite debris, which is the one that makes it look kind of like little rocks in there. And then I put down some, tacky glue and just static grass the rest of it. So it's like weird gray rocks and grass.
That's and I've noticed that too. With if you are using like the crushed slate, some people just go with the idea that it's already rocks.
Right.
So they just glue it on there, but it doesn't blend. It just looks like crushed slate. It doesn't really match anything. What I've always done with that is I will actually put down a layer of like Elmer's glue, spread the slate out across it, but really that bottom layer isn't going to hold it on, and I'll actually go over the top of it with more Elmer's glue and brush it on there, and actually like just locks it in. And then after it dries, I'll just spray paint it black and then repaint the whole thing, and it actually looks really cool. I did that on. I've got one of the special edition Breacher Marines from Forge World that I just did a little scenic base on him.
Mm-hmm. I bet it's fancy.
It is. I used one of the buttresses from the Administratum set.
Flying buttress?
Yeah.
Or just a regular buttress? There's a difference.
I mean, it still buttresses the wall.
That's a funny word.
It's a funny word.
Buttress. Yo, girl, bring that buttress over here. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to say something? It got off the thought train. And left the station.
The train of thought just derailed and probably killed someone.
What the heck?
But, there's a lot of ways to base things. And the best way, there really is no right way. It's just a matter of just messing around with it and having fun and seeing what you can do.
Any which way you like is the right way.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about the hobby is that no matter how you do things or want to do things, if you're doing it and you're happy with it, that's all that matters.
Like, I know a guy that he did a Harlequin's army, and all his bases he did, like, for his troops and everything. He cut poker chips in half and glued them on the base, and had all of the Harlequins like standing on the edges of the poker chips, and
That's pretty rad.
He'd use
Yeah.
playing cards and stuff like that to just make fun bases for them.
Yeah, I mean that's the cool thing about basing is that you can get crazy creative with it and just have fun because there's so much you can do that makes it, look cooler and gives your army more of a thematic kind of feel and does more stuff with it than just here he is on a black thing. And I mean, honestly, if you just want to do black standard bases, why not go and pick up? I mean, they sell the clear bases. There's several companies that sell just like the clear acrylic base, and you can just buy a ton of those and just glue them to the clear acrylics.
Like the flat ones?
Yeah,
They're just
yeah.
like
Flat, round,
little
25,
chips.
32 millimeter, 40 millimeter. Yeah, they're just they're flat, clear, see-through, acrylic that you can just glue dudes to.
That would actually be pretty cool.
I like the sound of this.
Yeah,
I do too.
and they're not incredibly expensive, and not a lot of people use them. I actually, one of the Gigabytes trade sales things they had, the whatever
meets.
swap meets, yeah. I got a bunch of guard stuff from a guy, and he had a unit of guardsmen that were on those bases, and it was cool. I was like, not really for me. I'm not a big fan of it for myself, but I can see what the practicality and use is of it.
Oh, they blend in with everything.
Right, because then like you said, you don't have to worry about if you're playing on you go over to your buddy's house and he's got Cities of Death and you have a bunch of grass and shit on your bases. You're not, well, that's the one part in the middle of the road where the weeds are growing up.
Where's your tangled wood?
Or you're playing on a Death World forest map and you've got Martian Iron Earth sticking out of your bases.
Or Sector Mechanicum.
Yeah, where'd all that red dust come from? It's Georgia, damn it!
Dig down like 3 inches. You'll find it.
It's all red clay.
You good?
No, I'm probably dying.
You got it from him.
No, I didn't. I'm just coughing. He's the one who's sick as hell. I don't have to worry about that. I don't get things. I don't get sick. But I don't.
I know you don't. That's why it's hilarious.
Honestly, it kind of pisses me off. I've always wanted to like legitimately take a sick day, and I never can.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It sucks because you're like, good God, I'd love to be able to call out sick.
It's like, you got people that get sick and they take like, 3 or 4 sick days a year, and it's like, I wish I could have sick days, but then I just feel like an asshole because I'm not actually sick.
Yep. So getting back away from the digression, washing. That's another important thing with bases. That is one of the cool things is painting them is very simple. You can literally put whatever base colors you want on it, wash it, dry brush it, done.
Not in the washing machine.
Yeah, using washes. Because those are good. Citadel washes. Both Citadel and the Army Painter washes are both kind of like my favorite neck and neck, depending on what I'm doing and what effect I'm going for. I like the Army Painter ones because they don't tint as much unless you put them on heavily. However, the GW ones are good because they can create more of a tint. Tint.
If you're like me and you like all your stuff looking crusty, then they're great.
Oh, yeah. And everything Nick does looks crusty, including Nick himself.
I don't look crusty.
I'm just kidding.
I
Don't
just
get all
like going.
butthurt.
I just like going for the whole. We've been fighting a war for centuries. Not everything looks brand new.
Everything is brand new. I'm just kidding.
Let's see. No, it's not.
And washes I've been getting into doing oil washes lately, which are super cool. However, they're probably not that great for bases. I don't know. They do work pretty decent on textured stuff, but I wouldn't put that kind of effort because there's a lot of process to it.
Yeah.
Do you know the process?
I don't even know what an oil wash is.
You basically get oil paint, and white spirits, or mineral spirits as they're called. Get you a little palette, separate from your acrylic stuff because you don't want to really mix them. And you do a little bit of oil paint with white spirits to thin it down. Gloss coat or satin coat your models, and then just run it all over it, and it flows into all the cracks super good and creates that. And then you take once it's dry, you can take a little bit of a makeup sponge or a Q-tip, or there's several different things people use. You can look up videos on it online, and then you dip it a little bit of that in the mineral spirits just to get enough to start wiping it off, and you can wipe off the wash from all the raised areas.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, the closest thing I can think of is when I used to do the lettering on like my pistols and stuff. You'd stick it in there, let it dry, and then when you wipe it off, it just takes the top off. It doesn't get in the cracks.
Right, and you can use that to thin and lower the amount of wash that's on the model, and it'll get you a smoother, nicer gradient as you get better and better. I mean, there's a little bit of tricks to it. It's going to take practice, and I've been working on that with my Cadre Fireblade and stuff like that and everything. But it's not like when I first saw it and first saw painters using it, I was like, oh, that must be the trick they're doing to make their models look super good. So if I do this, they're going to look super good. And then I tried it and didn't really do it right the first few times and was like, this doesn't look that much different from a regular model that I paint that's washed, other than the fact this stuff is in the cracks way better. I'm like, okay. And then I didn't do it again for a long time, and then I got back into it recently working on the Kill Team stuff, and I'm like, anything that's textured or anything that has like a lot of like the towel stuff with all the little metal plates and the lines in between the plates and stuff, it works really cool with.
That you can't quite get to.
Right. And
I can see that on like the towel and just taking the top off and leaving it in the cracks.
Right, and it makes things, it basically gets you, it's like a pin wash, but it's a lot easier to do because instead of having to have the brush control to get just right in the cracks, you can just literally brush over the whole damn model and then wipe it off later, which makes it pretty cool and effective and a neat way to do things. Doesn't work for everything, and it's not good for everything, but it does.
Anything that's got like a lot of recesses or small.
Yeah, the more texture, the better effect. The better the effect is going to be. Now,
not so much on flat pieces.
Yeah, and it does work okay for flat pieces if you're doing it right. And I haven't quite worked out exactly how to make that work right. I know the theory behind it. I just have to practice it. But it's pretty cool little technique and it's pretty quick. I mean, like I said, there is a process where you once everything's kind of painted, you just you literally have to get done painting it, highlighting, all that kind of stuff, and then just coat it, wash it with the oil washes, and then you can
clean
wipe
it
them
up
off.
and then coat it again to protect it.
Matte varnish it to protect it. And I imagine you could probably paint over it after you varnish it again, but that starts getting into adding so many layers and so many coats and so much stuff that
it looks like melted crayon.
Yep, you're going to start getting that melted crayon look, which we all know and love.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I ruined that entire squad of Skitarii.
You know what would be fun, though, is to actually take crayons and, like, cut them into shreds and then melt them down and mold them, like, do the crappy, like, Space Marine, like the old... You remember the old school when you could buy a box of, like, 5 of them? And it was the dude sitting there with the holes... It was the dude sitting there with the holes in his hands, and you just clip the bolter in, and he was done, and then he fit into a slot base. Just get those guys and just do your own home molds of that, and just pour melted crayon in there, and you could have the melted crayon Marines.
Yes,
that'd be pretty awesome. I'd do it if I wanted to.
Do what I want,
but I don't. So moving on, I think we've kind of beat basing to death. There's not a whole lot to really say much more about it, I don't think.
I'd say we touched base.
Oh, there's one.
Kill him.
No. He has his uses. He still has to fix my leg.
At least punch him in the mouth. For both your leg and that punch. Other games and such that we've played that aren't GW. I haven't really played any. But I did get my Kickstarter stuff for the Song of Ice and Fire game.
Finally.
Which, I mean, was my own fault. So it's not cool. It's no reflection on Cool Mini or not. They were actually cool. And actually, when I emailed them and said, oh crap, this stuff didn't get filled out. I either missed it or missed something. I must have, one link or something in one of the emails to fill this out. This sucks. They literally told me, oh, you probably won't get it till closer to Christmas. And it came a week ago.
That's still pretty close to Christmas.
It is, but I thought they were meaning more like December. And so I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I was also pleasantly surprised because the box is literally the size of my upper half. That is how much crap you got with the Kickstarter.
Nice.
I literally have I think it was everything they released wave 1 other than the scenery pieces.
Yeah.
Everything. And I was like, holy shit. I brought the box in. Rebecca was like, what the hell? I'm it's more stuff. And she's like, what? I was like, I ordered this a year ago to be safe.
To be fair.
But before everything else had gotten crazy, I ordered this a year ago. And I didn't realize quite how much crap was going to be in that box. Because I saw, hey, we met stretch goal, we met this stretch goal and that stretch goal and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm getting neat stuff with my thing. But sometimes, they sell you the Kickstarter package with the stretch goals met. And it's just oh, they put those figures in the retail box or whatever for the Kickstarter people. No, this was a giant box filled with the retail boxes of everything.
Nice.
And of course, I got the Hand of the King bonus pack too, which was it has the actual throne.
Oh, cool!
That's awesome.
Which is as per the imagining in the novel, not the show. So
I want to see this.
Gigantic. It is literally 28 millimeter scale. It's got to be about 8 inches tall.
Yeah, I really want to see this.
So it's big, and it's just swords.
He's got it hidden away somewhere.
It has steps going up to the throne that are made of swords.
Glorious.
Nice.
So it's epic. And then of course, they have all the additional, the extra sculpts of Clegane and all those guys and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And I started reading through the rules, and it looks like it is a lot of fun. A very intuitive, easy to pick up, rank and file Warhammer Fantasy Battle type game. But I have yet to actually play it, which I'll hopefully do soon.
Well, maybe one day I'll come over and play games with you.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe one day. Maybe one. I'm surprised Taylor doesn't kick you out of the house more and just get out.
I mean, it's kind of hard to kick me out of the house when I'm usually out of the house working.
What, 50 hours?
No, I'm up to 70 or 80 hours a week.
I don't believe you.
Well, you should. You should see some of these people.
I don't want to. That's why I don't do your job. I don't want to see those people.
Let's just say I've got enough.
I'm just kidding. I do, because they come in and get tattoos after you arrest them for their violation of probation. They spend 2 months in jail and they get out and they walk right to our tattoo shop.
And they always tell us.
Fine. They come. Yeah. I have had them come in with fresh tattoos. I'm like, how much does that cost? $500. I said, you haven't made a payment in 3 years, and you got a tattoo for $500.
You could have put that towards your probation fees and not gone to jail.
And then I put them in jail.
Well, they deserved it. That's where it goes. And then usually they, get out and then they come right in our shop and go, man, I just spent 2 months on the chain gang.
Yeah.
Give me a tattoo.
That's not the chain gang. This is the county jail.
They all call it the chain gang. So whatever. But good times on that.
You see people that really were in the chain gang slap those people in the mouth.
I know. And of course, I do still have to play Monster Apocalypse. I haven't been able to play that one yet.
I still need to go get Heavy Hitters. I actually might be able to afford it.
It looks pretty cool.
The biggest thing holding me back from buying it is the $200 price tag.
Now, for our listeners, why don't you tell them what Heavy Hitters is?
So, Heavy Hitters, from what I can see on the box, it's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like Risk. It's one of those Risk style games, but it's all giant mechs just in a cityscape.
Yeah, the actual name is GKR Heavy Hitters for Giant Killer Robots. And I think the Heavy Hitters is the expansion for GKR.
But the mech models in it are freaking cool, and they are 6 inches tall.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that kind of adds to the $200 price tag because you get like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, the
wow.
box is gigantic. I mean, I've seen it and I've looked at it and gone, interesting.
I think I'd have fun painting those models too, because they come unpainted and everything. So,
yep. Like I said, I got to finish the Monster Apocalypse stuff, painting that, because it comes with a clear acrylic bases on them, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to put these on the bases until I paint them, which means I can't play the game until I paint the models.
No, just put the bases on the table and put a little sticky on them that says what they are.
Yeah, I could blue tack them, but that would be entertaining too. But it seems like a cool game also, but I have not gotten a chance to play it.
You know what else I haven't gotten a chance to play?
What?
Titanicus.
Yeah,
coming soon. Thanks, Games Workshop, for releasing an incomplete game.
You know, I actually went through the Grandmaster Edition because I was like, my thing was, when I first opened it, first got it, you remember me going, well, damn it, they didn't actually give me... I figured I would at least be able to make a maniple out of what you got in the Grandmaster Edition. May not be the best one, but you'd be able to make a maniple and actually play a match-play game. Well, you couldn't.
Right.
No Reavers, no Warhounds.
Correct.
And so as they released the Reavers and the Warhounds, I was like, cool. I can technically do a maniple with, I think it was like the 2 Warlords and like 2 or 3 Reavers. There was a maniple option that you could technically finagle.
The Myrmidons,
yeah.
2 Warlords and 3 Reavers.
So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I can do that maniple. I don't have to worry about it, and then I can actually play. Well, I never finished building my Reavers because I got into building all the kill team stuff and doing other things. Well, got the Warhounds, and I was like, yes, Warhounds, awesome. Now I can figure out how I'm going to build these Warhounds and finish building everything else so I can have Warhound Titans to my maniple and, have multiple engines going. And lo and behold, I went through the weapon cards they give you the Grandmaster Edition. Mm-hmm. Guess what you don't have enough of?
Weapon cards.
Yep. I got enough of the data slates. Because they give you enough to run the 2 Reavers, 2...
They give you enough to run the, is it the Axion maniple?
Yeah, I think that's the one. It's like
It's the balanced one. That's the Warlord, the 2 Reavers, and the 2 Warhounds.
Yes.
The 1, 2, and 2.
Yep, and that's what they give you, because they give you 2 Warlord, 2 Warlord, 2 Reaver, and 2 Warhound, Titan stat cards with it. And then weapon cards, I'm like, oh, well, they give you 1 of each of the Warhound armaments. So you would have to arm the 2 Warhounds with totally opposite. So if you want to put a Vulcan Mega Bolter on each Warhound, you couldn't do it.
So you're saying I need like another
No. The packs, I think, come with everything you need. But the Grandmaster Edition, the weapon cards they gave you in that were not a full pack of those.
No, I'm saying because I want to run like all my Warhounds with plasma blast guns and turbo lasers.
Well, then you might want to double check and make sure there's enough in there.
If not, I'm gonna be like using them for multiple cards and just using a sticky note to denote when they're destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what's to stop you from getting a Post-it note and putting it on there with the weapon stats and the...
Or just what it is and just
yeah.
read the weapon stats off the card that's available.
Yeah, and then just be like, okay, cool, mark it that is disabled or flipped
I
over
doubt anyone's going to make a stink about you missing the cards. Not
right.
like in X-Wing where it's like you have to have the card or you can't do that.
Yeah. Which, I've heard the actual 2.0 X-Wing is supposed to be pretty good, but I have not played it, and I do not know.
All my X-Wing stuff just makes a pretty nifty little display piece in my garage.
All mine's in a little tackle box. Haven't played in probably a good year. But they did just release 2.0. Supposedly they've cleaned up and made the game kind of cool from what I've heard, but I have not played it.
I just hated that the biggest thing I hated about that game was oh, you can't get this card unless you get this set, and you can't get that card unless you get that set, and you can't get this card unless you win a tournament. And it's like,
yeah, it was like the upgrade cards for some of the stuff was a little wonky how you got it, and I don't know. I played a handful of times. I honestly liked Armada a lot better because it was way more tactical. Because you really had to kind of think ahead to what you were going to be doing and what was going to be going on. And I kind of do miss playing Armada, but I don't have really anyone to play with.
Speaking of which, Games Workshop, please bring back Battlefleet Gothic.
Yep. And perhaps one day I'll actually break out my Battlefleet Gothic box that I bought off eBay. And
you know, I see that in the garage, and every time I see it, I just want to kind of like walk off with it.
Don't do that.
But I love you too much, so.
That's good.
I mean, there was that one time Rebecca said I could have anything in the garage.
And that's why we don't listen.
But it would have benefited me.
Until I came to your house. And got my shit back. And ruined yours.
No, you wouldn't have.
You would have taken my stuff. I would ruin your day.
Would you like stay for a game or something?
Yeah, we could.
He
play
finally
with
got
it.
you to his
But
house.
when you took it back, we could just play with it, and I could tell you I'm sorry. And
do you think you could play with the distraction of pain from broken kneecaps?
You wouldn't break my kneecaps. You love me too much.
Steal my shit. See what happens.
It wouldn't be stealing, though.
It's not Rebecca's to give. So yes, it would be stealing.
You're just a dirty stealer.
I mean, yeah.
Now you get to go to jail.
For what?
Thief. Or theft.
No, I'm pretty sure after that happened, I would go to jail.
That's true.
For aggravated battery.
On a police officer.
You can only get that charge if I'm actually on duty and you beat me up.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Now I know I can knock the crap
It would
out
be
of you.
slightly lesser, but not much.
Yeah. Well, now I know I can knock the crap out of you when you're not on duty and not have to worry about it. Makes life so much easier. Of course, all those times that you've come in and I've tattooed you when you were partially in uniform, that probably could have been bad.
I don't think there's any policy against that. I think the only policy is like buying alcohol.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how your
It's
agency
partially
works,
in uniform because you know how uncomfortable that belt gets.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I said partially, because you usually had your uniform pants on. You didn't have your belt on, and usually you took your polo off or something and set it off to the side, too, so it wasn't like you were in full gear. And luckily, you don't have to wear, like, the full patrolman uniform or anything like that.
Yeah, we get polos.
Yeah.
We do wear body armor.
Well, yeah.
When we're actually in a situation where we need body armor. Which, for me, is most of the time now.
Because you're running after people.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing them perps. Bounty Hunter Nick.
I'm the dog. The big bad dog.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
But I'm not a bounty hunter. I am not a bond enforcement agent.
I know.
Those aren't real police.
I know. They're not.
Filthy rent-a-cops.
Yeah, there is no way they are. But yeah, that and the Fallout Wasteland Warfare game, which I have not played yet either. But I could, because I can actually play that solo. It has the cool little grid on the cards where you can...
It's just like you can play Assassinorum solo.
By yourself.
Although that's sad.
I don't think it is.
I've played it, but it's actually pretty fun by itself.
Yeah.
Like, because...
Well, when we played it that one time, I was like, oh, you can actually, this is how this works. We're actually playing together instead of against each other. And oh, with the way these rules are, I'm like, you could play it by yourself. And you're like, yeah, you can. I've done it.
It's designed, but...
I think I made fun of you.
I had a lot of fun, but it's like, in retrospect, it's kind of like, damn, I'm just sitting in my house playing a board game by myself.
I mean, I'd do it. I have no shame. I go to movies alone and stuff like that.
Let's just say 40K solitaire is way more fun than normal solitaire.
Yeah, because normal solitaire is actually kind of boring unless it's on the computer.
Yeah,
that's the only time.
Then you get kind of addicted to it. But I was always a Minesweeper kind of guy.
I was solitaire. I was like, I'd just sit there and click and move the cards for hours.
Chess.
Chess.
I played chess on the computer.
Nerd.
Chess is fun.
I'm just kidding. Chess is fun.
Yeah, but I always thought chess was fun with actual two human beings.
It is as well.
Even if it's one of those chess games where you just set the board somewhere and you just like move a piece as you walk by until it's done, like several weeks later.
It is fun to play with people, but for me, it's more mentally satisfying to beat a machine because I hate machines. But that's just me. Though with people,
All
you get
right.
to see them get
Well,
upset.
we're not going to get into Cody's therapy hour.
Skynet.
Captain beat a blunder. I don't know what the hell that is,
He
but
thinks Alexa's going to take over the world.
probably.
Don't trust that woman.
Oh, goodness. So anyway, I think we'll probably wrap it up for this here episode 11's.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
You need a wrap it up box. The one that plays the orchestra music.
That was such an awesome sketch for Dave Chappelle. Oh, I miss his funny show.
Well, you can't do that anymore. Everyone's so sensitive nowadays.
Maybe, maybe not. There's still non-sensitive people out there. But anyway, so hope everybody has a good rest of their day, evening, whenever the hell you're listening to this. And hope you enjoyed our review of the Orc Codex,
Orcs.
which we didn't really review so much as we just kind of flipped through a few pages and told you some snippets of information so you go out and buy it your damn self. Because that's what you need to do. Buy more armies. Buy more dudes. You're not in 40K? Sorry. Go buy Kill Team. Then buy Orcs.
Buy an orc kill team.
Yes. Well, even if you buy the Orc Kill Team, you'll still need to buy more Orcs.
Yeah, because all you get's like 5 Ludas.
Yep. I mean, they're pretty good, but
I have 5 Ludas that I was going to make a little kill team.
you're not going to play a 100-point Kill Team list on
No,
that.
I was just had 5 Ludas lying around. I was like, I could make a little baby kill team.
Yeah. I mean, you could say, hey, my Kill Team is this many points. And actually, most of the missions give you advantages if you are under strength from your opponent. So, because Kill Team is awesome.
I
I
guess
need to play Dust again sometime soon. I haven't played that in a while. Speaking of other games. Anyways.
Anyway,
Yeah.
awkward pause.
Yep, awkward pause. So, all of you out there, you need to go to the Beerhammer Associates Facebook group and join up so that we can all have fun conversations and talk trash, and you guys can tell us how much you hate the podcast and how stupid I am.
Because any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, damn right.
chicken knobs.
You also should go on iTunes and rate us, preferably with 5 stars. I don't mind that you lie in this instance. Not one bit.
We'll accept 4,
Yeah, 4 to 5.
but 3.5 is unacceptable.
Yes, 3 is right out. Oh, wait, I did that wrong. Anyway, do these things. Join up community-wise and do all that stuff. Let us know what you're working on. I love to see any of our listeners, your hobby projects, the things you're doing, the things you have. Ask rules questions, whatever. We are by no means any form of experts, but we will give you our most steadfast opinions on anything you want to know 40K related, and have good discussions that probably evolve into a lot of internet discussions. Maybe we'll just call each other really colorful insults. We should just start discussions that way.
That's how you start
we
every discussion with me.
Well, usually whenever you post something, I just comment back no. And then it turns into, well, you're a bitch. Well, you're a bitch.
Every time you post back no.
Yeah.
And then you call me a bitch.
Yeah. Well, that's because you called me something first.
Ass Goblin, I mean.
Maybe. Anyway, so this is your favorite Ask Goblin with the Beerhammer podcast. Signing off for episode 11. We'll be back for episode 12 with probably better hosts.